how's it going? Hope you're doing great. Guys, today we're going to start one of the most, or well, maybe even the most important and complex sessions of our entire workshop. Now guys, our today's work will be based on the image that you can see here, which is actually the one that we have used as the cover of the workshop when we were releasing it. Now what we got here is a bunch of two-sided panels. I mean, they are set on both positive and negative courses. And there's a connection in between these two sides. The material used in them is usually concrete. And well, these days, guys, these types of panels are quite common. These are being used a lot. And well, their modeling process is quite complex. I mean, it is complex because you actually need an extreme amount of patience in order to comprehend what exactly is going on in different stages of the project. Because we actually need to take some new steps for its modeling process, and after taking those new steps, for the rest of the project, we'll somehow be dealing with you can say, somehow an iterative process. And remember guys, we don't need two separate surfaces here, we have a single surface but a two-sided panel. So yeah, without any further ado, let's go ahead and start our work. As you can see guys, I have this cylindrical form here and I'm going to use its surface. I'm going to set its surface on, octagon rotate here. Now why did I do this though? Well, let's find out. From the properties, if I set this on maximum spacing for example, and then afterwards set it on 1 by 1 here, in between the octagons that you can see here right on the surface, you'll see some empty spaces, some gaps, okay? Now, later on, we're going to be using these gaps for setting these vertical anchors that you can see in the image here. That's why we need these gaps. So, guys, overall, to put everything simply, the form that we need here, the form that we want to create, would somehow be like a bend symbol, if you will. And well, what makes this so challenging would be specifying the courses and well, the connections even completely correctly. Now, I need to open up a new template here. More precisely, I'm going to open up a metric curtain panel pattern-based template. Alright, now, as always, let's specify the unit system first, meters and 2 decimals. Now, select this pattern and here set it on octagon rotate. And for the dimensions, 1 by 1. Now guys, what we need to do next would be creating the form that I mentioned. I mean, talking about that, well, bend symbol form that I said. And also we're going to get an extra part right up here, I mean in this cell here, that we need to work on. So guys, to understand how exactly we're controlling the size of this pattern, like for example, its width, we actually need to set a dimension here. Then right after, we need to create a parameter called W. It'll be an instance parameter and also a reporting one, okay? Now, whenever we try changing the size here, either here or in the project, this will report what exactly is going on. So, let me just set this up here and set it back on 1 by 1. Now, guys, I'm going to go ahead and select the point, draw on face activated, and I'm going to start setting the points on all the midpoints of all these edges. Okay. Like this. Now first, select these two and connect them using a spline. Okay. After that, convert this line into a reference. Here we go. Now, obviously, we need another point right in the middle of this new line, which is actually going to be the center point of our work. Now, let's do the same for these 2 points. And again, convert the line into a reference. And then after that, we need to use these vertices. You know what, guys? To put this in a more simple way, first off, we need to create a linear pattern for ourselves, and then we can use that pattern for creating a volumized form. Okay, now let's take a look at the image again and see what we need to do next. As you can see, guys, these 2 anchors here are connected to each other through this fillet, or you can say this curved connection. But the thing is, guys, we actually want to display the anchors in a way that they would look separated. I mean, like we have 3 separated forms here. So let's see how we can achieve this. what I need to do here would be activating draw on face, and then I'm going to start setting these points like this here. Now, let's check their normalizers. This one is beginning, and this one is also beginning, but we actually need to change this to end. All right, now select them both and create a parameter for them. Let's call it norm 1 or even main norm. Yeah, basically the names are optional, and well, I like this one better. Okay, so we have the parameter now. Let's go back to the image and see what else we need. Now, obviously, guys, these should be connected, but there's a very important point. The thing is, these have the same course. I mean, sure, one of them would be the reversed one. Nevertheless, they would be set here on the same course. Okay, let me try to elaborate here on this. Hopefully you understand this better. Somehow we can say that we need two separate parts here. I'm going to go ahead and set my work plane on this. And then after that, I'm going to activate draw on work plane. And then I'm going to set a point here. Okay, now I'm going to do the same on this side. All right. Now I need to set an offset here, but because I want the offset to be positive, I need to select this and use mirror. This way, the offset would definitely be positive. Now, try setting the offset here. Now, guys, if I go ahead and try moving these points, as you can see, the points that we set above them would move accordingly, which means that we've done this correctly. Now, next, I'm going to try connecting these vertices like this, and then I'm going to do the same for these two. Okay. Now, guys, it might seem like we don't really need to convert these into references, but the thing is, we should definitely do this. Why? Well, because later on, we're going to use this for creating the profile that we need. And also, if I try setting the work plane on this point, it'll be perpendicular to this line. However, if I try setting the work plane, this time here, it'll be set based on this line's course. So, yeah, I'm basically going to do just that. I'm going to go ahead and set my work plane like this. And after that, I'm going to go ahead and set a sketch like this here. It is some sort of an ellipse form. Now, I'm going to go ahead and try doing the same on this side as well. And remember, guys, pay attention when you are selecting the references. Otherwise, you'll face problems. More precisely, if you select a wrong reference, your sketching will be done incorrectly, and overall, you won't be creating a correct form. Okay, I'm going to select these again and convert them into references. Then set the work plane here. Okay, take a look at this, guys. The work plane is a bit crooked, as you can see. This is because you're selecting the point. So press tab until you select the line. All right, now let's set another ellipse here, completely parallel to the one that we had before. And we need to do the same here. All right. Now, select these this time and convert them into references. Now, guys, if I try moving these or actually changing the normalize, as you can see, everything works correctly. And also, as I mentioned earlier, a few seconds ago, the sketches are completely parallel. Now, guys, regarding these sketches, or, well, these ellipses, let me reduce the scale here. Regarding the sketches, we need to set dimensions for them as well. Later on, we're going to see how we can use these dimensions. Now, we need some parameters for the dimensions, starting with the perpendicular ones, like these vertical ones. Let's call it RV, for example, as in radius vertical. And again, the names are completely optional. Just choose the names that you are more comfortable with. Okay. Now, let's do the same this time for the horizontal dimensions. And, well, for the name, I'm obviously going to go with RH. Now, next up, guys, we need to start working on some connections, or actually connectors, if you will. Something that connects the ellipses, the sketches, like something like this. And then also we need another part up here. However, guys, let's take a look at the image. We should do something so that the thickness in this connection would be reduced a bit. And, well, to talk about this parametrically, the parameter, the RH parameter should be a bit larger, okay? So back here, I'm going to press Ctrl Z, then select the horizontal dimensions again, and this time, as for their name, I'm going to go with RHB, let's say, yeah. And as I just said, I want this parameter to be a bit larger than the other one, so let's specify a parameter for it. Let's say RV times 1.5. Okay, good. Now let's go ahead and test this. For example, let's set the RV on 30 instead of 20, or rather 10. What's going on? Oh, you know what? The formula is incorrect. We should go with RH here. So RH times, well, 1.2 this time. As you can see, the width is getting increased. And I guess we can also go with 1.1. Now, to make this whole thing even thinner, I'm going to set RH on 10, or even 20, I guess. And for RV, I'm going to go with 10 or 15. Let's just go with 10. Alright, now we can connect these two. And we can still change up the form here by changing up the factor in the formula. Like, for example, 1.5 would give us this. Okay, guys, you know what? Let's just move past these for now because we want to, we actually need to work on these more in the project itself. Like, we actually need to move this a bit more upwards, and then we need to check the normalize after that. For now, though, let's just work on the curved connection that we had here. More precisely, we need a connection in between all of these three ellipses. Now, to do this, I'm going to activate Draw on Face and set another point here. Then, again, I'm going to set a work plane here. And then, right after, I'm going to set a point on the work plane. Okay, now let's move it upwards to give it an offset. Now, we can go with the same offset as before, or we can even go higher. First, let's actually see how we specify the previous offsets. We didn't specify them. All right. So let's select these 2 points first. And again, guys, pay attention when you're doing the selection because the viewport is getting more and more crowded by the minute. All right. For the name of this parameter, I'm going to go with H1. Okay. And both points will have the same course now. Let's select this and set this H1 parameter for it as well. All right. Now, set the next work plane based on this point and then activate Draw on Work Plane and set another ellipse like this. And make it a reference. Let me reduce the scale here a little bit. Now we need to specify the proper parameters for the dimensions. For example, this one would be RH, or rather RHB, actually, this one. This one is a vertical one, so RV. Now, the form that we would create would be something like this. And if you wanted to make this a bit more crooked, you can go ahead and specify a separate parameter for this. Let's call it H1B, for example. And then we can specify a formula for this. Like, for example, whatever we had for H1 actually, times a factor, like 1.2 maybe. And now as a result, this would move a little bit more upwards. And if we try connecting these again, the connection would be a little bit crooked on this side. The form, actually. Now we can continue creating the form. Continue creating the connections in between the ellipses like this to get something like this. Now, we need to check whether the normalized parameter or the normalized factor works correctly or not. And also, we need to find a formula for the normalized factor here so that the curvature won't be deformed. And, well, all of these guys should almost be aligned so that we would get a very high quality form. Now, I'm going to set the NCP on 40 first. Okay, moved like this. When we move it towards this side, it gets closer to 0.5. Oh, and by the way, we need to do something for this side as well, guys. And, well, as you can see, this is quite deformed, so let's set this back on 40 again. Now let's try adjusting these manually a bit, like, for example, we should move this downwards. And then if we move this closer, we'll get a better form. Okay, now let's move these points and check these again. Okay. what I'm going to do here would be opening up family and type, and then I'm going to set main norm on 40. Okay, not bad. I guess we can also move this a bit more closer, so let me set this on 42 maybe. Okay, let me see. Yeah, this is actually quite good. According to the image, we are done up to this point, all right? Now, guys, we can start working on this top part here, on this cell that we have in the top. And by the way, remember, guys, this is the first side of our panel. We still have another side to work on as well. Now, let's take another look at the image and see what we have or what we need. Okay, as you can see, this profile, this part here has gone through this gap that we got here. So let's see how we can create this form. Exactly like before, first we need to start by setting the work plane here, then right after a point on the work plane. Like this. Okay. Now, after that, we need to specify an offset for both points on both sides. Okay, good. After that, we need a parameter for these offsets. I'm going to call the parameter EX offset, as in exterior offset. Now, we need a formula for this. The formula would be W divided by 2. Okay, it didn't work because the parameters are different. So let me set this on instance as well. So in other words, you can't really create a formula using a type and also an instance parameter. Alright, so anyway, guys, we have the formula now based on which the size up here would be specified. And also the form is working correctly on this side as well. Just remember, any resizing that you'll do here should be done on the radiuses of these ellipses as well. Now, I'm going to use a spline for connecting these 2 points and then convert the line into a reference. And exactly like what we did before, we need another point right on the midpoint of this reference. And now I'm going to add another point here. Let me set this on draw on face first. Then I'm going to add another point here. Okay, good. And then after that, set the work plane again and set another point on it as well. Okay, so far so good. Now, let's select this and set the H1B parameter for it. Now, we can use another spline to connect these vertices. And well, the form that we needed for the top part would somehow be completed. Okay, first convert this into a reference. And after that, set the work plane exactly on the reference line. And again, guys, pay complete attention. Try to be as accurate as possible when you are setting the work planes. This is very important. Now, drawn work plane activated and set another sketch here, another ellipse. Okay, this is crooked. Let's do it again. All right. And then we need another ellipse, this time here. All right, good. Now, select the ellipses and convert them into references. Then we need to set the radiuses, talking about both horizontal and vertical radiuses. Now, for these two, we can actually go with RV parameter. And then for the horizontal ones, this one would be RH. And for this one, which is actually larger, RHB. And the end result will be this. And then the only thing that we need to do would be connecting these 2 forms. So use tab to select these. And just create the connection like this. And let's do the same on the other side. So press tab to select this precisely, this. Here we go. Select this one as well. And the form. Now, if you take a look at the whole thing from the top view, you'll see that the form is somehow completed. And they are still separated, but we can actually join these parts, all of these parts. And we can also work on the parameters and formulas that we specified to change up the shape, like, for example, to make it thinner. Like, for example, let's go here and change it from 1.1 to 1.2. See, this got thinner, actually. How about 1.5? And also, guys, I think we can even do better. Yeah, we can actually specify another formula, a more general formula, in a way that help us not to go through both RH and RV each time. And by the way, guys, usually RH would be larger than the height that we would have. So yeah, now having said all of this, let's go ahead and work on this new formula. Let's say, for example, whatever we had for RV divided by 2. Let's see how this works. Okay, seems like 2 is actually too much. Let's go with 1.2 instead. Or even 1.1. Well, actually, this way it becomes more circular, you know? You know what? I'm just gonna go with 0.5. Let's see what's gonna happen. Okay, not bad. Maybe even smaller, though, like 0.6. Or even 7.7. You know, this is somehow depends on the form that you have in mind. Okay, I'm just gonna go with 0.6. It was better. Now, everything looks good up to this point. Let me save this. For its name, I'm gonna go with organic. Organic panel. Alright, now set this on 1 and save. Alright, now let's load this in, guys, and work with it a little bit to make sure that everything works correctly up to this point. Okay, guys, seems like everything is fine, actually. And well, we can claim that we have the first side, and the next step, we can start working on the reverse one. Well, I mean, obviously, we need to create the form first, and then we need to connect both forms, alright? You know what, let me try to elaborate just a little bit further. Let's say, for example, we have such a form here, and our next form would be, again, similar to this, but exactly in reverse. And then everything will be connected to each other. More precisely, we're going to work on the reverse part of this. Now, to be honest, the process is quite the same. We just need to use minus factors, which is actually the most important fact that we need to consider in this session. Now, guys, I'm going to start by connecting these two vertices first because, well, we need a completely opposite or reverse pattern. Now, we should do the same on this side. Okay, let me try this again. Here we go. And by the way, guys, we have this, well, 3 points up here that we can manually control. Like, we can specify the normalize that we want. So, in fact, we can actually create this normalize factor up here. I mean, down here, I'm sorry. And it actually gets closer to 5 on both sides. Now, we can use the same parameter for these, but because we have different courses, it's better to set the parameters separately. So, yeah, let's actually do that. The first parameter is going to be up norm. Now, I use the word up here because, well, it moves upwards, okay? Now, we need another parameter for this one. And, well, obviously, I'm going to call this one down norm. And, again, guys, the names are completely optional. Now, I'm going to select these two lines and make them references. And then I'm going to activate draw on face. And by the way, guys, this is actually very important. Whenever you want to set anything on lines, you need to activate draw on face. I mean, well, obviously, if you don't do this, your object will be completely deformed. Okay? Now, guys, next up, if you remember, we actually specified a normalize before for this part. We called it main norm, if you remember. So I'm going to go ahead and set the same parameter for these points as well. Let me just select main norm to get something like this. Now, I'm going to go ahead and set this point on this line, draw on work plane activated, and then we need to, let me just set the work plane again, set the point on it. Now, guys, for the offset, we need to move this downwards. In other words, we need a minus or a negative offset. Or I guess we can use another technique. We can flip this. Actually, we don't have flip here. We can use mirror first and then move it downwards, all right? And well, if you go ahead and use the same parameter as before, I mean H1, we'll get the same distance. You know, guys, basically, we are doing whatever we can to create the same form, but we're going to do it in reverse. Now, let me try to set this here again, okay? Okay, this is actually positive. It's okay. Now let's specify the same parameter, H1. See, we have so many small points here, guys. Now again, just like before, select the points and use a spline for connecting them. Now these ones, spline through points. And then select the lines and make them reference lines. Here we go. Now we need to select this work plane on the line. And after that, we need to sketch the ellipse as before. I need to try to set this completely perpendicularly. Now set another ellipse, this time here. Okay, the ellipses should be completely parallel, which is actually the case here. All right. You know, guys, you actually need to become so predominant in this whole thing so that you would be completely comfortable with working with crowded viewports such as this one. I mean, in a way that you wouldn't lose focus or get confused at all under any circumstances, okay? And well, to get to that point, you actually need to practice and keep on practicing, all right? Now, I'm going to press Tab until I would be able to select this line. Then set the work plane. By the way, guys, if I'm working quite fast here, that's because, well, all of these are quite iterative, and I'm sure that you're already completely familiar with the whole thing. Anyway, set the dimensions now. And do the same thing on the other side. All the dimensions, both horizontal and vertical. Now, select the vertical ones, guys, which are all the same. I mean, talking about their size, actually. And the parameter that we're going to set for them would be RV. Okay, good. And, well, if you remember, guys, we actually specified a formula based on this parameter, which I think is wrong, actually. Yeah, again, I made a mistake with setting the parameters. Again, don't worry, we can modify these. So let's just move on for now. I mean, just remember, overall, one of the dimensions should be larger than the other one. Now, for the smaller ones, I'm going to go with the RH parameter. So let me select it, RH. And then for these ones that I said are going to be larger, we're going to go with RHB. And, well, they would be larger this way, okay? So far, so good, guys. Now, we got a curvature, a curved form right here that we need to work on, and it is quite similar as what we did before. So, I'm going to start by setting a point here, and remember, we need a completely opposite course. So, let's check the normalize here. We have 42, and the down norm should be completely opposite. Now, guys, the thing is, if I just go ahead and select the parameter, I mean, talking about that down norm parameter, the point would be set right there, as you can see. So, as a result, I'm going to set this on end to reverse the course. Okay, let me just set this on none. Or actually, Control Z, let's go back. Now, let's select end one more time. Now, I'm going to select the down norm parameter, and this time the normalized factor would be specified from here. Okay, now for this part. Again, we need to set the work plane first and set a point on it. So, draw on work plane activated and set, and try to set the point here. Okay, now, let me hide this for a second. If you remember, guys, this point actually had an offset that we called H1B. So, let's see how we can use this one. I'm going to go ahead and select this point and then move it downwards. Now select it again and click on mirror. Let's see. Oh, it actually got merged with the rest of them, so let's do it again. This time, let's just move it a little bit. All right, now select and mirror it again. Okay, good. Same course. And set the H1B parameter for it. Now enter the proper view, which is this one, and set its work plane. And then try sketching another ellipse. Afterwards, make it a reference. Then set its dimensions. Exactly like before. What happened? Oh, I just clicked on focus visible instead of reference. Now, select the vertical dimension, set the RV parameter for it. And then for the larger one, exactly like before, we need to go with RHB. All right, all done on this side, guys. This is actually hidden. Remember that. I mean, we didn't remove anything, okay? Okay, let me just check this for a second. No, this is actually correct. I thought that I set the parameters incorrectly. Anyway, let's select this and create our form. Okay, now let's do the same on the other side. All right, now press Tab and select this. Now hold the Control key, press Tab and select this ellipse and create a form or connect them like this. And again, guys, they should definitely be references, otherwise they won't work correctly. All right. Now, guys, we need to start working on this side. If you remember, we specified an offset here, and well, we need to do the same for this side. So set the work plane here, then work plane activated, set the point, and the same goes for this point. Now select and put this here. You can't move this anymore, well, because they are actually fixed. And now we need two new offsets. Let's call them minus WW or double W. Or let's do something else. Minus EX off. This is better. All right, now let's go to the family and type. We need to specify a formula here. I'm going to go with EX offset. Oh, by the way, we need to set this on instance. Whatever we had for EX offset times minus 1 to get a negative factor for this distance. Now, use a spline for connecting these, convert that into a reference, and then set this point here. What kind of parameter we have for this? Up normalize. So we actually need something opposite to this. More precisely, I'm going to set this here. By the way, as you can see, I've set this right in the middle. You can also go with half and half, but I was more comfortable with doing this right in the middle. All right, now let's check the normalize here. It's getting further from this point, so in fact, it's getting closer to 1. So what I can do here would be selecting this and then I'm going to select up normal parameter for it. Let's check this. No, Control Z. Change the course first. And now select up normalize. Okay, yeah, this is correct now. All right. Next, let's check the parameter that we set here. This is H1B. That's why it has been moved a bit upwards. And also, I think I was supposed to set the same parameter for this one. Let's check it. All right, we have H1B. Yeah, this is actually correct. Now, again, we need to set the work plane here. And by the way, it's getting too crowded here, so pay attention so that you won't make any mistakes. Set the point here. Oh, I forgot to activate drawn work plane. It was on drawn face. Now try setting this right over here. Let's do it again. Control C, actually. Let me do something else. Let me just move this a bit more upwards first. Then try mirroring this because I don't want to specify any minus factors. Okay, good. Now select it and set H1B parameter for it. Next up, we need a point right on the midpoint of this reference. Now select these vertices, use a spline to connect them. Make it a reference, then set the work plane here. On the line. Then sketch the ellipse. Alright, again, make sure that you are selecting the work plane or setting the work plane correctly. Okay, good. Now, select the sketches, convert them into references, and next, as you know, set their dimensions. More specifically, the radiuses. Alright, again, the vertical radiuses are the same, so select RV for them. Where is it? RV. Here. Now, this one is RH, and this one is RHB. So, yeah, first one, RH. Now select this one, RHB. And now just connect them to create the form. Very good. Now we need to do some, or actually create some connections on this side. So press Tab, select, and do the same here. Didn't get selected completely. Let's do it again. Tab, select, and connect them. Now here again. Here we go. Okay guys, this would be the end result, and there's actually a very good consistency here. Like, if I change the form in one of the ellipses, for example, let's set this on 15, the whole thing would be resized, or well, enlarged in this case. Or if I go with 10 here, the size would be reduced like this. And we can also change the normalized factors. For example, we have 40 here. Let's set this on 35 instead. And well, the whole form would change accordingly. So guys, the point is you are quite free to do whatever you want. Like, I'm going to set this on 7, up north. See? Again, the form changed. Just remember guys, whatever you do, these 3 parts should stay somehow connected. Otherwise, you'll get a gap, an unwanted gap. Let's load this in. Let's find out whether it works correctly or not. I mean, this is actually the whole point, right? So, wait for it. Here we go. Nicely done. I'm going to set this on shaded. This is exactly what we wanted. Let's take a look at it from the top view. As you can see, you have a very nice connection in between all the elements. Just remember guys, we still might need to apply some further and small modifications. For example, in this part, this is a bit crooked. This means that we actually have a problem with one of the profiles, with one of those ellipses more specifically. So let's check this to find out what seems to be the problem. I'm going to check the parameters that we set for all the dimensions. Well, seems like we have no problem actually. Yeah, we've actually set them all correctly. So let's try something else. Let's go back to the project and try adding more thickness to these profiles. So I'm going to select this and open up type properties. And in here, I'm going to change our V to 15, for example. Let's see how it goes. All right, good. And we can also change the normalizers. However, if you try changing the parameters here, it would take a long time and, well, your file would become quite heavy. So a better way for doing this would be applying the modifications, or well, the required modifications here first. Then you can load the whole thing, the end result, into your project. And yeah, guys, we're basically done here. Again, the challenging part for these projects, for such models, would be the amount of accuracy and preciseness that you actually need. Now, I'm going to set this on maximum spacing and also 1 by 1. Then I'm going to set this on organic panel to complete the whole thing. I can do something else. You can select the panels on this side and set their indents on 1. And also this one. Okay, setting this back on 0. And I'm basically trying to set them even better. And yeah, you know what? This will do actually. And yeah, guys, overall, we have a very nice panel, very nice model that we can use in different areas, different projects on flat and curved surfaces. And by the way, guys, because we have a curved surface here, as you can see, if we zoom in, you'll see a little bit of gap in between the commissures. But well, this won't be the case if we use this on a flat surface. Let's test this idea. I'm going to set a reference line here. And by the way, guys, the file has gotten quite heavy because, well, this is actually a very detailed panel that we created. Anyway, let's extrude this. Now unlock. I'm basically trying to create a flat surface, something like a wall. All right, now select, set it on octagon rotate. All right, you know the drill. 1 by 1. All right, good. Now select the panels that we created. Here we go. This is very nice, guys. We have separated elements, separated panels, though this isn't what we are displaying. It's kind of like we have a completely solid and one component object here. Okay, now we can click on finish and go ahead and check our models from another point of view. I'm going to set the camera here, for example. Okay, let me modify the boundary a bit. And also deactivate the mask. Now graphic display unshaded. Then deactivate the edges. And also let's give it a nice background. Awesome. This is good. Now, the thing is, guys, if I go ahead and increase the scale here, the viewport would get extremely crowded. And well, at first glimpse, it might seem quite complicated and confusing. But if you go through it over and over again, eventually you'll get it completely. I mean, well, practice makes perfect, right? And also, if you go ahead and try comparing this model with the image, you'll see that they are quite the same. And again, we have used the same image, guys, as the cover of our workshop. Alright, everyone, we are done with our session. Hope you all enjoyed it. Don't forget to practice, and I'll see you guys next time.